Okay, I'll try to write a map. So I'll try to write the topics that we are going to study as a map so you can see it. So statistics, this is the branch of math, and I think there should be around two, three, up to four or five questions on Tolc-I exam on statistics. So usually this is the mean, let's say frequency distribution, mean, some table problems, and some graph problems. We'll see them all. So basically, we'll study the mean, which is the same as average of the set. Um, we'll study frequency distribution. Basically, frequency distribution, this is the mean of a table. You will be given a table, and from this table, you have to figure out what's the frequency distribution. Okay, the next part, we'll work with graphs and bars, let's say tables. Let me write tables, graphs, plots, bars, histograms. So basically, they will give you visual data, and you have to figure out, you have to make conclusion from the, let's say, this visualization of the data. Uh, you should also be able to compute variance. Let me write it here. Um, Basically, variance shows you how far are the dots from your mean. For example, you will have your mean usually. Let's say this is your average, and these dots will show you how far they are from your average. So the distance of each dot to your mean. So this is the variance. Okay, then we'll solve problem on every section. All right, and let's start with mean. So the easiest part. Mean, or you can refer it to the average. Usually you are given a set and you have to compute what's the mean of the set. Let's imagine we have set, let's say this is set A, and this consists of these numbers, let's say 1, 3, 5, and let's say 10. And they'll ask you, what's the average of A or what's the mean of A? And mean of A, this is the same as a fraction. You can write it as total quantity, total quantity over total number. So by total quantity, I mean the sum of all the values. So you have to sum the all values and you have to divide by number of elements. So total number, let me write, of elements. So for example, in this case, you have 1, 2, 3, 4 elements. In order to compute the mean of A, you have to sum the quantities, which is 1 plus 3 plus 5 plus 10, and you have to divide by the number of elements. So you can write it as 1 plus 3 plus 5 plus 10, and you have to divide it by 4. So it will be 19 divided by 4. And this is the mean. or you could say average. So this is the same as 16 plus 3, right? So it will be 4, 3/4. So this is the mean of A. Okay, try to solve the problems on mean. So this is the most basic one. For example, let's imagine that these numbers are your elements, and you have to figure out what's the mean of this set. Just try to imagine that this is the set A, and these are your elements. And you have to figure out what's the mean of A. I'll give you 1 minute. This is pretty easy. Yeah, this is one. So what you have to do is you have to sum all the elements, which is 0 plus 1 plus 0 plus 1 plus 1, so on and so forth. And you have to divide by 10. I believe there are 10 elements. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So it will be the same as 10 divided by 10, because 10 gives you, this is the sum of 1, 1, 1, 1, and 6.
There is a mean and there is the like I
Median.
don't know how it's called, but it's the point is that you have like I don't know 9
Mhm.
things in a set, and then the one in the middle is that thing.
So
Or
this median of the set.
medium.
So
Okay.
basically, this is the central value of your
Yeah.
set. Uh, I
Is
don't
that
really, I don't really know that there are questions on median. I've never seen the questions on median, but basically median is pretty easy. If you have a set, first of all, you have to, let's say, put the elements in order. So once you put elements in order, you have to count how many elements. For example, let's talk about it. Median, central value of the set.
so if I had 1, 3, 5, 3 would be the median.
Yeah, let's imagine A, this is the set 1, 3, 5. So in this case, median, this is the central value. So this is 3, because 3 in the
Okay.
center. But this is in the case where you have odd number of
Yes.
elements.
If
But
if I had 1, 2, 3, 5, then it would be 5 through 2.
so let's imagine you have 1, 2, 3, 5. So how would you figure out the mean of this set? The median.
It would be 2 plus 3 divided by 2.
Yeah, it is. So you have to figure out what's the mean of these two, right? Because you don't have value in the center, like right in the middle. Anytime you have even numbers, there are no value in the middle because it's perfectly divided into left side and into the right side. So that's why you have to take these two numbers that are in the middle, you have to sum them and you have to divide by 2. And 2 plus 3 is 5, and divided by 2 is 2.5. So the median of A is 2.5. I'll give you a more difficult problem. Try to solve it. For this one, I'll give you 2 minutes, and I'll continue with the possible choices. Let's imagine C, this is 6, D, this is 8, and E, this is 10. So you have to choose one and write it inside of the document. so you can see it better. So you have two sets. You know the mean of the first set. You know how to compute it. And you know that the set S and set T have the same average or the same mean. And you have to figure out what number X should correspond to. Okay, perfect. Yeah, the correct answer is A. And let me write the solution. So first of all, you have to compute the mean of S. The mean of S, this is the same as the sum of quantities, right? So you have to sum 1 plus 3 plus 5 plus 9 and divide by the number of elements. So there are 4 elements and the sum of the quantity is 18. So you write mean of S is the same as 18 divided by 4, which is the same as 4 1/2. Okay, now you know that the mean of S should be equal to the mean of T. So mean of S should be equal to mean of T in a way that you have to plug value of X such that it equals to mean of S. So in order to figure out it, first of all, you have to do like this. You have to write the mean of T. It's the same as 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5 plus X and divided by number of elements 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So set T has 5 elements, so you have to divide it by 5. All right, and this is the same as mean of S. So we already computed the mean of S, which is 4, 1/2, and you do the equation. So you solve the equation. So it will be okay, 14 plus X divided by 5 is equal to 4 1/2. You again try to convert it to this value. It will be 18 divided by 4, and you do cross multiplication. So it will be 4 multiplied by 14 plus X is equal to 5 multiplied by 18. So 5 by 18, this is the same as 90, is equal to 4 by 14. It is 56, I believe. 56 plus X, right? And X is the same as 90 minus 56. So X is equal to
4x.
4X, yeah. Thank you. So you have to multiply 4 by X as well. Then you got 4X here you got 4x, and 4x is equal to 34. And x, you divide both sides by 4. X is equal to 8, 1 over 2, 8.5. Yeah, which is A. Okay, I'll give you one more problem on mean. So, after 3 exams, the guy has the average of 24 out of 30. And he had his fourth exam, and his fourth exam was 30 out of 30. So now you have to figure out what's the new average score of this guy. Okay, yeah, the correct answer is A. And no, not A, E. And let's see why. So we can write it like this. Let's imagine that X, this is the grade of the first exam. Let's imagine that the Y, this is the grade of the second exam. And Z, this is the grade of the third exam, right? And we know that the average of after these 3 exams, it is the same as 24 out of 30. So basically, X plus Y plus Z divided by 3 should equal to 24 over, yeah, 24 over 30. So it means that this sum should equal to 72. So the sum of his grades after 3 exams should equal to 72. And if you divide 72 by 3, you'll have 24. Okay, now we imagine that he had his fourth exam. So basically in the fourth exam, he had maximum score, 30 out of 30. So we can write it like this. X plus Y plus Z, this is the first exam, this is the second exam, this is the third exam, and this is the fourth exam. So the grade of the fourth exam is 30. Now, in order to figure out the new mean, you have to divide by 4. So if you divide by 4, you know that the X plus Y plus Z should give you 72. Actually, it doesn't matter what's the score of X, what is the score of Y, and what is the score of Z separately. Like, the only purpose is to know the sum. Sum should equal to 72. We can imagine that the X is 24, Y is 24, and Z is 24. We can imagine that the X is 23, Y is 24, and Z is 25. It doesn't matter because the sum is still 72. Okay, now you add 30. It will be 72 plus 30, which is 102. and you have to divide it by 4, and this is the same as 25.5. So this is the new average score of this guy after passing the fourth exam, which is E. Okay, the next part is the frequency table distribution. So let me write it. Usually you will be given a table. If you're not given a table, you will be given a graph in order to figure out what's the frequency distribution. And based on the table or based on the graph, you have to calculate. Let's imagine that we are given a table. Let's imagine we are in the school and one column will be the grade. Let's say grade or mark, it doesn't matter. And another column will be number of students that got this grade. So let me write number of ST as a student. Okay, let's imagine we have a grade 5, we have a grade 4, we have a grade 3, we have a grade 2, and we have a grade 1. And let's imagine only one student got the grade 5, 3 students got the grade 4, 3 students got the grade 3, 2 students got the grade 2, and only one student got the grade 1. And this is our table. So let's imagine this is let's say, physics class, and I'm a physics teacher. And I'm opening my journal and I'm telling you, there is only one student that got grade 5. There is 3 students that got grade 4. There are 3 students that got grade 3. There are 2 students that got grade 2. And there is only one student that got grade 1. And I ask you to compute what is the average score of the class, basically of all the students. And how would you do it? Like,
So we could multiply the number of students with the grade. So
okay.
if one student got the grade 5,
Mm-hmm.
then it's like 1 times 5. 3 students got the grade 4, 3 times 4. And that's what we write on the upper part of the fraction.
Mm-hmm.
And then down, we will write how many students in total we had.
How can we know how many students we have in total?
Well, we will say, okay, if one student got a 5, we
Mm-hmm.
have one student. If
Okay.
3 students got 4, that's plus 3 students.
Okay.
We like,
Okay.
I
Great.
don't know how to say
Usually,
sub it.
Tara, whenever you have a table, the number of students, what you have to do, you have to sum the column. So for example, this is the column of students, and you have to sum the column. So it will be 1 plus 3 plus 3 plus 2 plus 1. And this gives you the total number of students. For example, here you will have the sum. Let's imagine 1 plus 3 plus 3 plus 2. This is the same as 10, I believe. Yeah, it is 10. So the total number of 10. And this 10, this is the total number of students in the class. Okay, total number of students in the class. Now, the next part, you have to figure out what is the, total grade, like total sum of the grades. And in order to do it, usually it's easier to adjust one more column, and the one more column will be grade multiplied by the number of students. So you can grade a third column, and you can call it grade multiplied by the number of students. And the entries of this table, of this column, will be just grade multiplied by the number of students, which is the same as 5 multiplied by 1, which is the same as 5, 4 multiplied by 3, which is the same as 12, 3 by 3, which is the same as 9, and then 2 by 2, this is the same as 4, and 1 by 1, it is 1. And again, in order to figure out what's the total sum, you have to sum this column. So it will be 5 plus 12 plus 1 plus 4 plus 1, and the result 10, 16. Is it 31? It is. Or not? Yes, it is. Okay, the total sum of the grades is 31, and in order to figure out what's the, let's say, average grade of the class, you have to write the total sum over total number, let's say, of elements. In our case, this is the total number of students. And total sum, this is 31, and the total number of students, it is 10. So the average grade will be 3.1 of the school. Okay, one more thing I want to mention to you. Actually, uh, let's say the average of the class will be always around the most frequent value of the class. In our case, the most frequent students, let's say the most frequent grade were 3 and 4, right? Look, 3 and 4 has the frequency 3 and 3. So basically let's say the average of the class will be around these values, around 3 and around 4. And in our case, it is 3.1. So basically the value between 3 and 4. So just bear it in mind. It will help you sometimes to solve the problems. Okay, we can start to solve the next problem. This is a really similar problem, but this is the problem on, let's say, the absence. Instead of the grades, they are tracking the how many days the student were absent in the class, and you have to figure out what's the average number of absence in the school. So in this case, you are given a, let's say, this is not vertical table, but this is the horizontal table, but this is still the table. You know that you have 20 people, 20 students in total. Basically, this 20, I will give you the hint. This 20 is corresponds to the sum of this row. So basically 1 plus 2 plus 2 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4 plus everything will give you 20. So you've got 20 students. And these are the number of days they were absent in the class. And you have to figure out what's the, let's say, average number of days per student in this school. You'll have 2 minutes. Once you solve it, don't forget to write your answer as a private message in the chat. So Timirlan, you did solve this problem previously. Okay. Okay, we can try to do it together. By the way, Tara, Elitsa, Timurlan, that's the correct answers. Fisa, this is not really correct. This is almost correct, but I think you got mistake when you were, um, converting the decimal to the fraction or converting to the fraction to the decimal point. Just be extra careful whenever you're computing. We'll see this mistake. So, as this problem, what you have to do, basically what's the convenience is to create the third row, right? And the third row will be the sum, not really sum, but the multiplication of the first one and the second one. So in this case, first row is the days of absence, and the second row is the number of students. So let me create the third row. So my third row will be days of absence multiplied by the number of students. So let me write D multiplied by the number of students. In this case, written peoples, but I'll refer to as students. So it will be 5 by 1, which is 5. It will be 6 by 2, which is 12. It will be 7 by 2, which is 14. It will be 8 by 3, which is 24. And then it will be 9 by 3, which is 27. 10 by 4, 40. 11 by 2, 22. 12 by 2, 24. And 13 by 1, 13. Okay, in order to compute average of this table, the average of this table will be as a fraction. On the bottom, on the denominator will be number of students. In this case, we know that the number of students is 20, right? So it will be 20. And the upper part basically will be the sum of this row. 5 plus 12 plus 14 plus 27. Basically, this is the total number of days absent. You have to just sum this. Whenever you are summing this row, just be extra careful whenever you are computing. For example, if you miscompute something, for example, even for one or for half of the value, so your average will be not the same. So whenever I'm computing, I'm doing this trick. I'm trying to combine the numbers. For example, you see 27 and you see 13. So basically they are edible. It will be 40, right? Okay, now you see what else you can combine? Nothing that much, right?
We can go 12, 14, and 24. So here, like 6 plus
Good.
4.
12, 14 is 26 plus 24, it will be 50, right? So these three numbers gives you 50. And then you have 22 plus 24, which is 46, plus 5, which is 51. So you've got 51, and the last number is 40. So you have to sum these four numbers, and it will be 181, right? So you have this value, 181, and you have to divide it by 20. And 181 by 20, this is the same as 180 divided by 20 plus 1 divided by 20. And 180 divided by 20, this is the same as 9. And 1 divided by 20, you can write it as, you can multiply both numerator and denominator by 5. If you do it, it will be the same as 5 over 100. And 5 over 100, this is the same as dot dot 5. And if you sum to 9, the result will be 9.05. So Fiza, I believe you had some wrong computations over here, but overall, you almost did it correctly. Okay. Now we can go for the next problem. So this is the next problem. Here you're giving a table. No, here you're giving a graph instead of a table. Basically, this graph represents this. For example, here you have marks, basically the same as grades, and here you have students. So basically this point here, let me write it with red. So this point over here, it says 5 students, actually this is 6. 6 students got the grade 6. This point here represents that the 4 students got the grade 5. And only 1 student got the grade 10. So basically this is the XY plane where your Y is the number of students and where your X is your grade. So you can write it as X, Y, Cartesian plane. Okay, there is 2 possible ways to solve it. The first way is to transfer, basically is to work out. You have to transfer this graph and you have to write a table where you have mark and where you have number of students. And the third entry, you will have mark multiplied by number of students, and you can easily compute it. The second way to solve it, this is much faster. And I will show you the second way after you've done this one. I mean, try to do this one first. Try to build a table and then figure out what's the frequency distribution. So basically, the first entry will be marks, and you have 2, 3, 4, so on and so forth until 10. And number of students you have from 1 until 6. Okay, I'll give you 2 minutes, and after 2 minutes, we'll do it together. Timirlan, I mean, you previously joined for the class, right? Okay, so you know the answer. Anyway, Timirlan, do not be lazy. Try to compute. Try to make this table because you'll have to make the table sometimes and try to compute the value again. Yes, Tara edited that's correct answers, and we can start to solve it together. So in order to convert it to the table, so you have to build a table where you have column of mark, column of number of students, and the third column, basically mark multiplied by the number of students. So what kind of marks we have? We have from 1 until 6. We are not including 0 because there are no students who got 0. So basically, one student, the mark 1 got 2 students. So basically, number of students will be 2. Then mark 2, there are 3 students that got mark 2. Then there are 4 students. No, there are 3 students that got mark 4. Actually, then it starts from 1, 2.
Aren't the marks on the x-axis?
Yeah, I got wrong. So basically, it starts from 2. We'll just skip the first entry. So the mark 2 got 1 student. So let me write 1 here. Then mark 3 got 2 students. Then mark 4 got 3 students. Then mark 5, there are 4 students. Then mark 6, there are 6 students. Then you've got mark 7. On the mark 7, there are 4 students. Then mark 8, there are 3 students. Mark 9, there are 2 students. And mark 10, there is only 1 student. Okay, first of all, in order to figure out the average, it will be total number of students, total number of students, and basically the total grade, right? So it will be mark multiplied by the number of students in total. Now I have to figure out every entry for this column. So it will be 2 by 1, which is 2, 3 by 2, which is 6, 4 by 3, which is 12, 20, 36, 28, 24, 18, and 10. So in order to figure out this one, basically let me write total mark you have to compute the sum of this column, basically 2 plus 6 plus 12 and so on. In order to figure out what's the total number of students, you have to compute this column 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4, so on and so forth. If you compute this entry, if I'm not wrong, there are 26 students, right? I'm a bit lazy to compute it. Is it?
Yes, it is.
So basically, the sum of this column will be 26. And the sum of this column, it is 156, if I remember it's correct. But you can see it like this. Again, you have 36, and then you have 24. You can combine them. It will give you 60. Then you have 12 and you have 28. You combine them. It will give you 40. Then what else you can combine? 18 and 2. It will give you 20. Then you have 6 and you have 6, 20, and 10. So 10 plus 6 plus 20, this is 36. And you have to sum all these numbers. 40 plus 60 is 100, plus 36 plus 20 is 156. Okay, so you have to figure out what's the value of 156 divided by 26. Is it divisible? Like so far, I cannot see if it's divisible. What you can do is you can divide by 2. I mean, for sure, this is the even numbers, and they are divisible by 2. So you can write it as 78 divided by 13, right? Now you have to figure out if 78 is divisible by 13, and this is actually true. The answer is 6, because 60 plus 18 gives you 78, and 60 divided by 6 is 3, which is 10, and 18 divided by 6, which is 3, and 10 plus 3 is 13.
Can I just tell you how I think when I have a big number to divide with a number that I don't know if it's
Divisible or not?
divisible? Yes.
Okay.
So we need to divide it by 26, and we know that if we multiply 26 with 10, it's gonna be 260. So we're for sure that it's a number smaller than 10.
Okay.
And we also know that that number times 6 needs to be 6, because the last number is 6. So
Okay.
the only number multiplied by 6
Mhm.
is that is giving 6 is 1 or 6. So we try 26 times 6, and it will be 156.
Wow.
Yeah, I know, right? It's
Turn it.
yeah.
And this is really useful. I will consider it in the future classes. So thank you. Okay, that was the trap. This part to build this table. For this problem, it was trap, because you'll waste a lot of time building this table. Sometimes tables are useful. For example, here the table is already given, and you have to just build the third column. But from this case, it is trap. So basically, they are those who are doing this, basically those who are implementing this test, they are trying to trick you. They are trying to waste your time. But here you can compute the mean actually without knowing this table. Okay, anytime you see the peak, for example, let's imagine this as a mountain. Try to draw it as a mountain. So this is your mountain, and the peak of the mountain, which is this part, right? This is the peak. Usually it is the mean of the set. In this case, look, the mean is 6. The average grade, we got the answer was 6, and the peak of the mountain was 6, right? This is not always exactly 6. In this case, this is 6 because it is symmetric, right? If you try to look, the left part of the mountain is the same as the right part of the mountain, perfectly the same, because it is symmetric. But you could still have something like this, unsymmetric one, something like this, right? And still you have peak, right? Peak is here, but your mountain is not symmetric. But the mean of the set still will be the value somewhere around this peak. Not exactly in the peak, but somewhere close to the peak. So your mean can be here, can be here, can be here. This is like approximation. And for the next problem, basically you'll do this. Can you read what's written here? Is it readable so far? In a statistical analysis concerning the adoption of minors abroad, the wives of the married couples who applied were divided by the age groups. So the corresponding histogram of the frequencies referred to a certain year is given in the figure. So basically you have XY plane, right? And this part, basically x-axis, corresponds to the age of the wife. So the age, let me write age. And this part, basically y part, corresponds to the number of women of this age. Just try to recognize, usually whenever you're giving the graphs, the y part will give you the number of elements, It can be number of people, number of students, number of grades, and so on and so forth. And x-axis will give you the value. In this case, age is the value, and the y-plane, basically y-coordinate, is the number of women in this case. Try to work out this problem. You have to figure out what's the average age of the wife of the set.
Can you move the picture just a little bit more up? Down. Okay, yeah, exactly. Thank you.
Fiza, in this problem, you have to relate it to the mountain, and you have to see that the peak of the mountain will correspond to the average. So you are looking for the average, let's say, average year of the wife. And yeah, just try to picture as a mountain, and you have to look for the peak of the mountain, and it will give you the average. Yes, that's correct. Okay, yeah, we can try to. So in this case, let's imagine this is the mountain, and the peak of the mountain will be this point, right? So let me write the peak. And anytime you have peak, right, the average will be somewhere around this peak, not exactly, but somewhere around. And you know that this interval from here to here basically is in the peak, right? So your average will be somewhere around here, which is from 35 until 39 years old. Happens because there are 400, even more. Try to correspond it to y-axis. There are more than 400 women whose age is from 35 until 39 years old. So because the frequency is high, the average of the total set will be around this frequency. So the right answer is D. Okay, that would be really terrible if you would try to build a table from this graph and then compute. Wow, it would take around 10 minutes, I believe. Try to solve this problem. Again, you have table, and try to infer from this table. Basically, you're using percentage in this problem. I'll give you 2 minutes. Tamerlan, you wrote this number 37.8. Did you really compute the average age of the wife like this? Yes, Elisa, that's correct. Tara, that's correct. Okay, so basically this table corresponds to the number of sales. For example, for one day, the bar sold 60 coffees. This is tea. So basically it sold 25 teas, 30 cappuccinos, 40 soft drinks, and so on and so forth. And the barman decides to increase the price of a product which he sells, let's say more than 25% of the total number of sales. First of all, in order to figure out total number of sales per one day, what you have to do is you have to sum this column, right? So it will be basically 60 plus 25 plus 30 plus 40. By doing it, we will figure out what's the total number of sales per one day. Okay, let us try to compute it. So here we have 25 and 25, which is 50. Here you have 30 plus 20, which is 50. And here you have 60 plus 40, which is 100. So it will be 200. Total number of sales per one day is 200. Now you have to figure out what's the 25% of 200. So what is the 25% of 200? 25%, this is the same as saying what is the 1/4 of 200. And 1/4 of 200, this is the same as 1/4 multiplied by 200, which is the same as 50. So basically 50, this is the 25% of 200. And Barman decides to increase the price of a product which exceeds in the number of sales more than 25%. So in this case, only coffee exceeds 50, because the other products, which are tea, cappuccino, soft drinks, they are less than 50. Basically, they are selling 25, 30, 40, and all these numbers are less than 25%, right? And only this number is more than 25% of the total number of sales, which is 60. And that's why the answer is coffee only, which is actually D. Most probably this bar is located in Italy if they're selling that much coffee.